Hey everyone, my name is Gamaruda and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. We are somehow already more than halfway through December, and since it has been 3 years since I made my Christmas tree tutorial, I thought it could do with a bit of an update. I'm calling it a tutorial, but it is technically more of a guide because instead of showing you how to make one specific tree, I'm going to try and show you how to make a tree of any size to suit your needs. I tried to keep it as simple as possible while still making it look relatively nice. The main focus of this tutorial will be the conical leaf part of the tree, but we will go over the decorations as well. I have made a few different sized trees in different styles to show you what the end result can look like, and we will look at them more closely later. Without further ado, let's begin. Before we start placing any blocks, you need to decide a couple of things. First, how big do you want the cone or leaves of your tree to be? You can choose either a height or a width, the other will be determined as we build it. If you are choosing a height, it needs to be a multiple of 3 plus 2, or if you are choosing a width, it will need to be an odd number. My tree will be 35 blocks high, or the width will be 23 blocks. Once you have decided that, you need to know how high you want the leaves to be from the ground, as this will tell us where to start building. Keep in mind anything you would like to put under the tree, like presents or something. For the moment, just create a 1-block pillar of spruce logs however high you want the cone to be off the ground, and mark where the leaves will start with spruce leaves. We will come back and build the full trunk later. Now let's find the other measurement of the tree. There are 2 methods for doing this. The first one involves building and a little bit of maths, so it's more time consuming, especially in survival. The second one is purely maths based, so it's a bit faster. If you chose the height of your tree, continue the spruce pillar up by the height of the cone and make the top 2 blocks spruce leaves. Off to the side of the top of the pillar, place 3 spruce leaves going down and then go out by 1, then place another 3, and continue this pattern until you get to the bottom of the cone, not the bottom of the trunk. Count the distance of the last spruce leaves to the trunk, multiply by 2 and add 1, and now you have the width of the cone. On my tree there are 11 blocks, so I will multiply by 2 to get 22 and add 1 to get 23. If you chose the width of the tree, build up the center pillar to a reasonable height because we will be using it as a guide. Now subtract 1 from the width you picked and then go half that distance out from the spruce pillar with spruce leaves. I chose a width of 23, so I will subtract 1 for 22 and divide by 2 to get 11. Once you reach the end, go up by 2 blocks, then in towards the center by 1, then up by 3, and continue this pattern until you reach the center pillar. Replace the next 2 blocks of the pillar with leaves and remove any logs that go above these leaves. If you chose the height of your tree, subtract 2 from that number and then divide by 3. The result will be the radius of your tree. Multiply by 2 and add 1 to get the width. If you chose the width of your tree, subtract 1 and then divide by 2. Multiply by 3 and then add 2 to get the height. Now we can finally start building. The base of the cone comes first and we will be using a circle guide to make it. I have linked the guide that I use in the description. To use it, tick force circle, then enter in the width of your tree. If you are building it in survival, change the mode to filled and it will tell you how many blocks you will need. Then just copy the guide to make your circle. After you have done that, extend the edge of the circle up by another 2 blocks. Then go back to the circle generator and reduce the width by 2. Now copy this new circle above the one you just built and make it 3 high. Don't worry if there are any holes between the 2 circles, we will fix those in the next step. Continue building circles that are 2 smaller than the one below them and 3 high until you reach the top of your tree where we place 2 leaves on top of the trunk. There are 2 stages to smoothing the leaves. Stage 1 is necessary as it essentially is just filling in the holes. Stage 2 is only really necessary for the smaller trees, but I think it makes the tree look nicer, so it is personal choice whether or not you do it. To fill in the holes is quite simple. Just extend the filler block 1 up and 1 down from the hole so we are left with a 2 high section. This just makes the transition less noticeable than if we were to place 1 block. Repeat this for every hole in the tree. The second part of smoothing is more complicated and a lot less uniform. I would definitely recommend it for trees that are below 14 blocks tall, but for bigger ones it is up to you. Basically what we need to do is eliminate all of the large rectangles and replace them with more curved lines. Unfortunately there isn't any one rule for this, but I can give a few tips. Try to make it so that the lines of blocks get smaller the higher they are, so don't have a 3 high section above a 2 high section. Sometimes this might be unavoidable, but it's just something to keep in mind. Also, frequently step back and look at the tree from a distance, and you should intuitively notice any jagged parts that you need to adjust. Now we can finish the trunk. In the examples I prepared, I was unable to make every size, but I tried to make enough to show you different sized trunks. For trees 5, 7, and 9 blocks wide, I just used a single spruce log pillar for the trunk. For 13, 17, and 21 block wide trees, I used a 3 wide trunk. For 29, 37, and 45 wide trees, I used a 5 wide trunk. And for the 61 wide tree, I used a 9 wide trunk. You can use the same circle guide from earlier and just build the trunk through the bottom of the tree. When you get closer to the top of the tree, the trunk will become too wide, so just make it fill in the leaves and it will taper off. Finally, it is time for the decorating stage. So here are a few examples of different styles you can do, as well as how to decorate different sizes. On this small tree, I went for a traditional style, but as you can see, things like the star are hard to make on a small scale. This medium-sized tree is done in more of a modern style with white tinsel and sea lanterns. And scaling up again, I made it really simple with a basic 4-point star on top and only snow on the tree itself. Then on the biggest tree, I went traditional again with red tinsel, gold baubles, candy canes, and a bigger star on top. The snow is an optional extra depending on how you want your tree to look. I have only provided 4 examples here, but you can of course decorate it however you like. You could even do the same decorations that I have done, but in a different color scheme, like maybe white and blue or full rainbow. To help you out, I have laid out some decorations in different sizes to hopefully give you the tools you need to decorate your tree. I will go through them and then afterwards I will show you how I would decorate a tree. Starting off, there are of course the baubles. You can just choose whichever size looks nice to you. If you want big baubles on a smaller tree, that is perfectly fine. The color is also customizable, you don't just have to use the 3 I have shown here. Then I have the different lights you can use. I used end rods on 3 of my examples because I think they look nice and simple. Sea lanterns can work on modern style trees and on other styles as well, depending on what other blocks you have used. Glowstone is a nice yellowy light that can work on traditional trees, and on bigger trees it can look really nice if you surround it with yellow stained glass. Redstone lamps look nice, however you need to find a way to conceal a power source. Stream lights might work in some situations, and beacons are also a nice option, especially for modern or futuristic trees. These are the candy canes I used on the big tree, made from white and red concrete. I like to alternate which color I start with to get a bit of variation. If you want to put candy canes on a smaller tree, I found this banner design that kind of works. To make the banner, you will need 1 red banner, 2 white dye, 3 red dye, and 1 green dye. And then go to a loom, and forgive me because I'm going to butcher these names. You need to make a white inverted chevron, which is this pointing down triangle. And then you need a red lozenge, which is the diamond shape. Then you need a white bend sinister, so that's a line that goes from the bottom left to the top right. And then you need a red paley, which are the stripes going up and down. And then a red bordure indented, I believe it's called, which is just this like pointy border thing that goes around. And then for the last one, you need a green bordure, which is just a regular border. And that will make it look like that. And then you can go and put it on trees. It's not perfect, but it does work. On a couple of my examples, I used tinsel, which is really simple to do. For the modern style, I used smooth quartz slabs and went up every 2 blocks. On the large tree, I used red stained glass, this time going up every 4 blocks. You can use any color that you want, and if you feel it is too flat or it goes up too fast, just change how far you go before moving up. And last, but definitely not least, we have the stars. There are many different styles of stars that you can choose from, and I encourage you to spend a little bit of time exploring the different options. Stars for the smaller trees are a bit difficult, but they get easier the bigger the tree gets. The smallest option I have is yellow stained glass surrounded by yellow stained glass paints. You could also use white stained glass or something else if you like. The next size up is made from smooth quartz stairs, but again you can use any stairs you want. I didn't actually make this example, I saw it in a video by Green. In this style of 5-pointed stars, I made a couple more sizes. This smallest star is quite simple to make. You just need to go 1 block up, then place a right side up stair with an upside down stair in the middle, and then another right side up stair there, then a right side up stair and another one on top. This is sounding really confusing. Then an upside down stair on either side to give you that little star shape. To make the medium sized star, make a 5x5 cross out of smooth quartz. and then place 2 on either side like that. Place an upside down stair on either side of the cross, and then a right side up stair on the top pillar part, and then an upside down slab next to, well, kind of diagonally down from the upside down stairs, and then place an upside down stair on the bottom like that, and then on the back of those place a right side up stair. And then for the biggest star in this style, which isn't too much bigger than the last one, but there is a difference, make a 6 high and 7 wide cross. So it's 6 high, 7 wide, and then place an upside down slab or top side slab on either side of the cross like that, and then a slab on top of there. Place 3 smooth quartz on either side like so, and then place slabs going down underneath the cross, making that shape. And then stairs on top of those, an upside down stair under each arm of the cross, and then on either side of the point, and then we should have our star. Then I have 4 pointed stars, and I like to make them out of gold blocks. There are again multiple sizes to choose from, and they are quite simple to make. I will pause over each one to let you count the blocks to make them. The last examples I made are gold 5 pointed stars. The smallest 2 are a bit wonky in my opinion, but the larger ones start to look better. If you would like to build them, I will pause again for you to count the blocks. Okay, now I'll give you an example of how I would decorate a tree, just to hopefully give you some ideas. I'm going to go for a gold, red and white color scheme. So I'll start off with the tinsel. I'm using yellow stained glass. And like the big tree I did over there, I'll go up 1 for every 4 blocks. So 4 blocks across, up 1, 4 blocks across, and it's just tracing the tree. And then as I get closer to the top here, I'll just decide where I think a good point to stop is as it starts to get kind of close to itself. And if there's like a big gaping hole, not gaping hole, a big gap in between the tinsel, I might do one on the opposite side as well to fill in that hole. And it gets close enough for my liking about at this point, so I'll end this other one off on the same side that it started. And then I'll go for the baubles. So I'll start with the biggest bauble. I'm going to be doing 3x3 red baubles and then 2x2 white baubles. Finally, single block gold baubles. So putting the baubles on the tree is really simple. You literally just build them into place. And then if there are any blocks where they would need to replace the leaves, you do just that. And if you really wanted to do it right, you could also go inside the tree and finish off the bauble to make it look like it's actually sitting in the tree. So I've just put a few around the tree. They might have been a little bit big for this size tree, so I didn't put too many on. Now I'll go down to the next size, so that's the white baubles. And these are even easier to build because they're just a cube. So I'll just fill in some of the spaces that I think are a little bit empty. Especially on smaller trees, I think it's better not to overcrowd it, so don't overdo it, but also don't hold back. So maybe try and add in some extras. If it looks a bit too overcrowded, then you can always just take them back out again. So there's a big hole over here. So I'll just chuck one in there. And if you wanted to, you could also kind of place them in the tree a bit more so that they don't stick out as much. But that's just personal preference if you want them to sit in the tree or on the tree. Okay, now I'll go down to the last bauble, which are just the gold blocks, and I'll just speckle them around the place in a few of the holes that are left, but I'll keep in mind that I'm also going to be putting end rods on for lighting. There really are no rules to this. just go wild and make it look exactly how you want it to look. It's just a process of trial and error. Looking at it now, I could probably put in another white bauble there, or I could have tried to put in a red one there. So there's always room for improvement. And now I'll do the lights. I find it helps to do it at nighttime. If I can type. Because then it shows you where there's a bit of a, that's probably not a good place to put one, where there's a dark spot, and then you can put in a light there to fill it in. Now if you wanted, you could also hang these off the tinsel like that. I'm just going to put them randomly around the tree because I like how that looks. I try also not to have them in line with one another because that looks a little bit too uniform. When you choose lights as well, keep in mind that they are a quite prominent feature, especially in the dark. So if there are empty spots that you can't fit a bauble in, maybe you can put a light there instead, and it might help out. You can see I'm just constantly trying stuff. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. Sometimes I do it wrong. If I just go and look at my tree from a distance, it's not looking too bad, I think. And now I'll just put the star on top. I'm going for the smallest 4-point star that I made, the 7x7 one, this one here. So I'll just go to the top of my tree. I place it 1 block above. I know it's kind of weird that it's floating, but I prefer that to when it's sitting on there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These stars are quite easy to build, especially out of gold blocks because they have such a clear outline. And there we go. That's how I would decorate this size tree. There is one more thing that I could do, which is if it was outside, I don't know how you would fit this inside, but I could just go around and add in some random snow layers all over the place to make it look like it's been snowing. To do that by hand would take a little while. I like the detail that it adds because it fills in even more of the empty spots. If there was no snow on this big tree here, it would look a lot more empty, but the snow, because it's such a bright white, it fills in some of those gaps. And just for the sake of completion, this is what the tree would look like with snow on it. And now hopefully you should have a Christmas tree that fits perfectly wherever you want to put it. I hope that you were able to follow along. I know it was a lot more up in the air today, but I wanted to leave as much room for customization as possible. Thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!